Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, my friends. God's blessings upon you. Let's praise the Lord together, my friends. We are all awakened in God's shelter. Now we've come to praise His name together. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, my friend. Sing Hosanna. Hosanna. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Allah in the sanctuary of our Lord's protection and the stronghold of the Lord's defense. With His love our spirits are hidden as we glorify His name, our hearts are blessed. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, my friend. My friend. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, my friends. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Post Ian. Post Ian. How you doing today, Daryl? You doing good?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing okay, except for I'm a little distracted by all that's going on screen, and our Facebook feed is having some issues here. It keeps disconnecting and trying to reconnect, but we got to do what we got to do, right?
Gotta go.
That's right. Good morning, everyone. Hey there, Candies, and let's see, Gilbert is with us, and Farrah. It's so good to see you, Farrah. Yeah, I don't think has Farrah been here? Have we seen Farrah recently?
No, she wasn't here last week, but she's back today. That's
you
good.
Are always missed.
Good
Farrah.
to see you.
I want you to know that.
And Adam Bach is back.
Adam Bach is back. We're always glad to see
morning,
Adam. And you know what? I said last week I was going to call him. I still have not called Adam. I'm going to call you, Adam. So get ready for it. Don't faint. Be sitting if you see my name pop up on your phone. Don't faint. But folks, let's start with a prayer. And I want to say to the folks in Facebook, we keep coming and going. I don't know what's happening on the other end when it disconnects and so forth. So we are having, it did it again.
Like that.
Yeah. So this would be a good time to have a prayer for tests and difficulties. Just happen to have that right here. O thou whose tests are a healing medicine to such as are nigh unto thee, whose sword is the ardent desire of all them that love thee, whose dart is the dearest wish of those hearts that yearn after thee, whose decree is the sole hope of them that have recognized thy truth. I implore thee by thy divine sweetness and by the splendors of the glory of thy face, to send down upon us from thy retreats on high that which will enable us to draw nigh unto thee. Set then our feet firm, O my God, in thy cause, and enlighten our hearts with the effulgence of thy knowledge, and illumine our breasts with the brightness of thy names. And this is a prayer by Baha'u'llah. Again, I don't know what's going on with the Facebook feed, but okay, we're back with Facebook. And the only reason I'm pointing that out is because obviously we share this afterwards. And that's when we see the glitches and so forth. So I just want to explain to anyone who might be listening through Facebook that we're having some issues on this end. Please try and bear with us. It keeps, for whatever reason, disconnecting and then reconnecting. And I don't know, maybe it's a spectrum thing. I don't know if it's things that are,
bandwidth.
Yeah, after I pay for the extra bandwidth, man. You mean this still happens, but I don't know. Maybe there are still some ill effects of Hurricane Ian that might be out there, and who knows? It's possible. It's possible. But in the meantime, we do need to go ahead. And speaking of Ian, as we know, there are some people out there, lots of people that are still experiencing the devastating after effects of this really tragic hurricane. And we ask that you please keep them in your prayers, as we will. And now we're going to go ahead and get started with today's readings. As you know, we've been working with the Advent of Divine Justice, and I'm pointing it out again. We're over halfway through this book, Daryl.
Yeah.
We're over halfway through, and we need to start thinking, what's next? Because anyway, as you know, if you were here with us last week, we spent a lot of time reading about some of the issues and some of the things that, for those of us who are teaching or choose to share this faith, things that we need to be considering as we are teaching. We're to remember the example that was set by Abdul Baha. We are to join in the efforts of other organizations and so forth. We are to consider the best method of teaching for each individual that we may be attempting to share the faith with. And there were other things. We won't dwell on it too long. But this is simply a continuation of that, except for, and again, we were talking earlier, in this portion that we're going to be reading today, it is emphasizing the necessity of diversity.
Right.
Emphasizing the necessity of diversity, and which Shoghi Effendi himself points out in his own words, but he also shares the words of Abdul Baha and even more so Baha'u'llah. So this idea of diversity, while it may be new and fashionable to some, and fashionable probably not is, it's a bit not a respectful word. It's something that is, on the minds of many now. Like the person that's calling you right now, they're thinking about diversity.
Sorry about that.
So again, Shoghi Effendi is using the words of Baha'u'llah and Abdul Baha to impress upon the American Baha'is the importance of diversity. And well, there's another point later on that I'll make, but it's about his reference to the Native American Baha'is.
Right.
Okay. So, Daryl, if you'd be so kind.
Let's begin. Let anyone who feels the urge among the participants in this crusade, talking about teaching crusade, which embraces all the races, all the republics, classes, and denominations of the entire Western Hemisphere, arise and circumstances permitting, direct in particular the attention and win eventually the unqualified adherence of the Negro, the Indian, the Eskimo, and Jewish races to his faith. No more laudable and meritorious service can be rendered the cause of God at the present hour than a successful effort to enhance the diversity of the members of the American Baha'i community by swelling the ranks of the faith through enrollments of the members of these races. A blending of these highly differentiated elements of the human race, harmoniously interwoven into the fabric of an all-embracing Baha'i fraternity and assimilated through the dynamic processes of a divinely appointed administrative order, and contributing each its share to the enrichment and glory of Baha'i community life is surely an achievement in the contemplation of which must warm and thrill every Baha'i heart. Consider the flowers of a garden, Abdul-Baha has written. Though differing in kind, color, form, and shape, yet, inasmuch as they are refreshed by the waters of one spring, revived by the breath of one wind, invigorated by the rays of one sun, this diversity increaseth their charm and addeth to their beauty. How unpleasing to the eye if all the flowers and plants, the leaves and blossoms, the fruits and branches, and the trees of that garden were all of the same shape, color, shape and color. Diversity of hues, form and shape, enricheth and adorneth the garden, and heighteneth the effect thereof. In like manner, when diverse shades of thought, temperament, and character are brought together under the power and influence of one central agency, the beauty and glory of human perfection will be revealed and made manifest. Naught but the celestial potency of the Word of God, which ruleth and transcendeth the realities of all things, is capable of harmonizing the divergent thoughts, sentiments, ideas, and convictions of the children of men.
I'm going to stop you right there, Darren. I just want to point out that, as a Baha'is and even friends of the faith, and maybe even people who don't even know about the faith, there are many of us that this really resonates with. And a lot of it is, I think, it sounds so wonderful. And it sounds so beautiful. Abdul-Baha uses the metaphor of the flowers of a garden. Consider the flowers of a garden, though differing in kind, color, form, and shape, yet inasmuch they are refreshed by the water of one spring. That if we wanted to use that metaphor to apply to the human race, of course, we're all refreshed by the blessings of God. But he says they're refreshed by the waters of one spring, revived by the breath of one wind, invigorated by the rays of one sun. And then he goes on to say, how unpleasant to the eye if all the flowers and plants, the leaves and blossoms, the fruits, the branches, and the trees of that garden were all of the same shape and color. And yet there are those that have tried to create that kind of world that they can live in.
Yeah.
And so he looks at the natural beauty of diversity, but then he looks at the logical beauty of diversity. He says, when diverse shades of thought, temperament, and character are brought together under the power and influence of one central agency, the beauty and glory of human perfection will be revealed and made manifest. So this isn't just some, it's a beautiful thing. It's a logical thing. It makes sense.
True.
It is to get that diversity of thought, that diversity of temperament and character, which admittedly brings us challenges, and yet it still can create, let's just say, a better condition for humanity. But it's such a challenge that he points out that naught or nothing but the celestial potency of the Word of God, which ruleth and transcendeth the realities of all things, is capable of harmonizing the divergent thoughts, sentiments, ideas, and convictions of the children of men. And when you try and do that without the Word of God, I don't know what you get.
The world would be very discordant.
That's a very nice way of saying that.
Harmonizing is a key word.
Yes, lack of harmony. I was going to say you get a mess, and we kind of got a mess, but I like your way better. I just wanted to really bring attention to that because even though I know we're just starting, but to me that is so important to point out that, we can approach this from a spiritual standpoint, and we do. But I've said on a few other occasions, a lot of these ideas are good ideas because they're God's ideas. It just makes sense. And we can try it so many other ways, and we can. But this is the way that works. Okay, I'm done.
Let's go. I hope is the wish expressed by Abdul Baha, that ye may cause the downtrodden race, Negro, to become glorious and to be joined with the white race to serve the world of man with the utmost sincerity, faithfulness, love, and purity. One of the important questions he also has written, which affect the unity and the solidarity of mankind, is the fellowship and equality of the white and colored races. You must attach great importance, writes Abdul Baha in the Tablets of the Divine Plan, to the Indians, the original inhabitants of America, for these souls may be likened unto the ancient inhabitants of the Arabian Peninsula, who, prior to the revelation of Muhammad, were like savages. When the Mohammedan light shone forth in their midst, they became so enkindled that they shed illumination upon the world. Likewise, should these Indians be educated and properly guided, there can be no doubt that through the divine teachings, they will become so enlightened that the whole earth will be illumined. If it is possible, Abdul Baha has also written, send ye teachers to other portions of Canada. Likewise, dispatch ye teachers to Greenland and the home of the Eskimos. God willing, he further has written in those same tablets, the call of the kingdom may reach the ears of the Eskimos. Should you display an effort so that the fragrances of God may be diffused among the Eskimos, its effect will be very great and far-reaching. Praise be to God, writes Abdul Baha.
I'm going to stop you there, Darrell, for one particular reason. I actually meant to mention this earlier, before we actually started our program. Kevin Locke, or at least you knew Kevin Locke.
Yes.
Yeah, he recently passed away. Did you know that?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know Kevin Locke or didn't know Kevin Locke, because the reason I'm bringing it up right now is because Kevin Locke is a very well-known Native American Baha'i who has taught the faith using beautiful dancing with the rings and so forth and so on. And he's a well-known, or at least was a well-known American Baha'i who I just found out about it yesterday, as a matter of fact. But again, this idea of teaching the Native Americans as part of creating this diverse community, and teaching the Eskimos as well. He's already mentioned, teaching African Americans or Negroes, as the respectful term was in that day. All towards creating a diverse community, working together to, again, establish a world where people actually get along, what we like to call the kingdom of God on earth.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to point that out.
Praise be to God, writes Abdul Baha, that whatever hath been announced in the blessed tablets to the Israelites, and the things explicitly written in the letters of Abdul Baha, are all being fulfilled. Some have come to pass, others will be revealed in the future. The ancient beauty hath in his sacred tablets explicitly written that the day of their abasement is over. His bounty will overshadow them, and this race will day by day progress and be delivered from its age-long obscurity and degradation.
Mm.
Let those who are holding administrative positions in their capacity as members of either the National Spiritual Assembly or of the national, the regional, or local teaching committees continually bear in mind the vital and urgent necessity of ensuring within as short a time as possible the formation in the few remaining states of the North American Republic and the provinces of the Dominion of Canada of groups, however small and rudimentary, and of providing every facility within their power to enable these newly formed nuclei to evolve swiftly and along sound lines into properly functioning, self-sufficient, and recognized assemblies.
Okay, Daryl, has that already happened? Has some of that already happened?
Some of that has already happened.
Yeah,
for sure.
And here he's talking about, of course, the importance of continuing to teach the faith for the purpose of, for lack of a better term, growing the faith. And he points out, of course, the urgent necessity, how the vital and urgent necessity of ensuring the formation of groups, however small and rudimentary, and of providing every facility within their power to enable these newly formed nuclei to evolve into properly functioning assemblies. And I don't know, are you a member of an assembly, Darren?
I am a member of an assembly.
I know you're a member of an assembly, and I'm a member of an
For a long
assembly
time.
too. And so when we think about, the struggles are still there, the challenges are still there. But it's great that we can look at this from the vantage point of when this was written. And again, with all of the still remaining challenges and so forth, we can attest to the fact that there's been a lot of progress.
Absolutely.
An awful lot of progress, and we're still progressing. I just wanted to, again, point that out.
Can you go on from here, please?
Okay. Self-sufficient and recognized assemblies. To the laying of such foundations, the erection of such outposts, a work admittedly arduous, yet sorely needed and highly inspiring, the individuals of the American Baha'i community must lend their unstinted, continual, and enthusiastic support. Wise as may be the measures which their elected representatives may devise, however practical and well conceived the plans they formulate, such measures and plans can never yield any satisfactory results unless a sufficient number of pioneers have determined to make the necessary sacrifices and to volunteer to carry these projects into effect. To implant, once and for all, the banner of Baha'u'llah in the heart of these virgin territories, to erect the structural basis of his administrative order in these cities and villages, and to establish a firm and permanent anchorage, a firm and permanent anchorage for its institutions in the minds and hearts of their inhabitants constitute, I firmly believe, the first and most significant step in the successive stages through which the teaching campaign, inaugurated under the 7-year plan, must pass. While I'm reading this, you know what I'm thinking of?
What's that?
Like, you know what I'm thinking. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of that great, what is it called when Jesus sent his disciples out to the world? Go out to all the world. And there's a word for it, and there's a term for it, and I don't remember. The Great Commission. It was the Great Commission.
Okay.
I think that's the term. And I'm reading this in that, with that in mind. Shoghi Effendi is basically telling, as again, Baha'is have been constantly told, you need to go into new areas. You need to, when we mention the word pioneering, that's what pioneering is. Go into places and practice your faith and teach your faith there. And, obviously at this particular time, these were, for lack of a better word, these were totally untouched areas where it was necessary to go and teach the faith. And that is something we still have to do today, whether it be in our own hometowns or elsewhere. There is something called home pioneering, isn't it?
Yes, pioneering.
Yes. I think we're kind of doing that here, right?
Right.
I don't know. Yes.
So we are the disciples.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
We are the disciples, and as such,
Yeah.
we have a responsibility to do this.
All of a sudden, I feel very. I'm like, man, it's a big job. Yes. Did you want me to continue? Or?
Yes.
Okay. I firmly believe the first and most significant step in the successive stages through which the teaching campaign inaugurated under the 7-year plan must pass. Whereas he switches now to talking about the beautifying, the ornamentation of the house of worship in Wilmette, Illinois, which was at that time new.
Yeah.
Whereas the external ornamentation of the Mashrikal Ashgar house of worship,
yes,
under this same plan, has now entered the final phase in its development. The teaching campaign, I need to start this over because he's actually using that to point out that we're finishing that work. Now you've got to start on something else. And I kind of started that wrong. Whereas the external ornamentation of the Mashrikal Ashgar under this same plan has now entered the final phase of its development, the teaching campaign is still in its initial stages and is far from having extended effectively its ramifications to either these virgin territories or to those republics that are situated in the South American continent. You've still got a lot of ground to cover.
right.
And then he gets into, it's not going to be easy. He says, the effort required is prodigious. The conditions under which these preliminary establishments are to be made are often unattractive and unfavorable. The workers who are in a position to undertake such tasks, limited, and the resources they can command are meager and inadequate. And yet, how often has the pen of Baha'u'llah assured us that, and this is him quoting, this is Shoghi Effendi now quoting Baha'u'llah, how often has the pen of Baha'u'llah assured us that, quote, should a man all alone arise in the name of Baha and put on the armor of his love, him will the Almighty cause to be victorious, though the forces of earth and heaven be arrayed against him. Has he not written, again continuing the quote, by God, besides whom is none other God, should anyone arise for the triumph of our cause, him will God render victorious, though tens of thousands of enemies be leagued against him. And if his love for me wax stronger, God will establish his ascendancy over all the powers of earth and heaven. Wow. I'm thinking, you've been faithful over a few things, I'll make you ruler over many.
Yeah.
Consider the work of former generations, Abdu'l-Baha has written. During the lifetime of Jesus Christ, the believing, firm souls were few and numbered. But the heavenly blessings descended in so plentifully that in a number of years, countless souls entered beneath the shadow of the gospel. God has said in the Quran, 1 grain will bring forth 7 sheaves, and every sheaf shall contain 100 grains. In other words, 1 grain will become 700. And if God so wills, he will double these also. It has often happened that one blessed soul has become the cause of the guidance of a nation. Now we must not consider our ability and capacity, nay, rather, we must fix our gaze upon the favors and bounties of God in these days, who has made of the drop a sea, and of the atom a sun. I'm going to read that again. Now, we must not consider our ability and capacity. Nay, rather, we must fix our gaze upon the favors and bounties of God in these days, who has made of the drop a sea, and of the atom a sun. Let those who resolve to be the first to hoist the standard of such cause under such conditions and in such territories nourish their souls with the sustaining power of these words, and putting on the armor of his love, a love which must wax stronger as they persevere in their lonesome task, arise to adorn with the tale of their deeds the most brilliant pages ever written in their country's spiritual history.
This time.
You know, and yeah, I read that and I feel like I'm not doing enough. You know, and I mean, what does enough? What does enough mean? What does that word mean? But there's always more to be done. There's always more to be done. I want to say hello to the person. What's the big N say there?
I can't tell from.
I can't tell either. That's what happens when you get two old guys teaching together. We can't read our screens. I do want to say hello to him. I just want to see who is this. I still can't read. Oh, Nagime. It looks like Nagime Hosseini.
Okay.
We'll go with that. The print on the screen is.
Nagme Hosseini. Yeah.
Say that again, please.
Nagme
Nagma
Hosseini.
Hosseini. Thank you. Good morning. We're glad you could join us.
Thank you.
You ready, Daryl?
Yes.
I'm not. We're going to go ahead anyway. Remember, we're talking about diversity, the importance of building a diverse spiritual community. These were what Shoghi Effendi was using the words of Baha'u'llah and Abdul Baha in this portion of the Advent of Divine Justice to emphasize the importance of. And so this song, these are the words of Abdul Baha, sort of echoing that. Let all associate their fold in this great human garden, even as flowers grow and blend together side by side. Let all associate their fold in this great human garden, even as flowers grow and blend together side by side. Love ye all religions and all races with a love that is true, true and sincere, and show that love through deeds, and show that love. Love you all religions and all races with a love that is true, true and sincere, and show that love through deeds, and show that love. Let all associate their fold in this great human garden, even as flowers grow and blend together side by side. Even as flowers grow and blend together, side by side. Even as flowers grow and blend together, side by side. Let all associate, therefore, in this great human garden, even as flowers grow and blend together side by side. I sometimes neglect to say this when we play the song, but most of the time, most of the songs that we're doing are original. We've written them. This is one that we did not write. It's by a Baha'i group that I don't think they're together anymore, but it was called The New Generation. And they had an amazing guitarist by the name of Mike Derry, who lives here in Florida, and he's still out there playing. But these are the words of Abdul Baha. And now, you think we got time to read some more?
Yeah, let's finish this section. Okay?
Yes. I want to read it.
No, go ahead.
See, I was hoping you'd say yeah. And my eyes are messing with me today, too.
Yeah, that's why I'm.
I assumed as much. I'll start with it has often happened.
Abdul Baha.
Okay, yeah. It has often happened that one blessed soul has become the cause of the guidance of a nation. Now we must not consider our ability and capacity. Nay, rather, we must fix our gaze upon the favors and bounties of God in these days, who has made of the drop a sea, and of the atom a sun. And then that's Shoghi Effendi quoting Abdul Baha. But then he goes on and says in his own words, let those who resolve to be the first to hoist the standard of such a cause, under such conditions and in such territories, nourish their souls with the sustaining power of these words, and putting on the armor of his love, a love which must wax stronger as they persevere in their lonesome task, arise to adorn with the tale of their deeds the most brilliant pages ever written in their country's spiritual history. Although Abdul Baha in the Tablets of the Divine Plan has written, in most of the states and cities of the United States, praise be to God, his fragrances are diffused, and souls unnumbered are turning their faces and advancing toward the kingdom of God. Yet, in some of the states, the standard of unity is not yet upraised as it should be, nor are the mysteries of the holy books, such as the Bible, the Gospel, and the Quran unraveled. Through the concerted efforts of all the friends, the standard of unity must needs be unfurled in those states, and the divine teachings promoted, so that these states may also receive their portion of the heavenly bestowals and a share of the most great guidance. The future of the Dominion of Canada, he, in another tablet of the Divine Plan, has asserted, the future of the Dominion of Canada is very great, and the events connected with it infinitely glorious. The eye of God's loving kindness will be turned towards it, and it shall become the manifestations of the favors of the all-glorious. Again, I repeat, he, in that same tablet, reaffirms his previous statement. Again, I repeat that the future of Canada, whether from a material or spiritual standpoint, is very great. So again, it seems that he's kind of shifting from, this is to all the North American Baha'is, and it seems that he's shifting from his emphasis on the U.S. to Canada. I don't know if that shift is going to continue in future pages. I guess we'll have to find out.
Yep, eventually we will.
Okay. Now, as we were reading, it occurred to me, someone's missing today from our regular Zoom meeting. Andy.
Oh, right.
Andy's not with us, and I'm concerned because I know the area, I can't remember exactly the area, but I know it's in Central Florida, which experienced a lot of devastation
He
from
may be
Hurricane
having some
Ian.
power or
Yeah.
other difficulties.
Yeah, so we don't know if that's what it is, but we hope that
Prayers
Andy is
for-
fine. Yes, pray for Andy. Hope everything's going okay with him in his part of the state. And at this time, it's time for our Camby's moment. So Camby's, do you have something you'd like to share with us today?
Sure.
Please do, Shane Camby's.
والله ای متوجه الله دیده به ملکوت غیب جبروت باز کن و به این مناجات آغاز نیاز کن که ای مهربان تو ستر کن و بپوش خطا از ما عطا از تو جفا از ما وفا از تو گناه از ما پناه از تو بیماری از ما شفا از تو بکوش و بیاموز وفا کن و پناه ده شفا بخش Thank you.
Thank you, Camby's. Is there anyone else who would like to share at this time?
I would like to say a healing prayer for Kevin Locke. I don't know what he died from, but he was only 68.
Oh, wow.
What was that again, please, Farrah? Could you please repeat that?
She doesn't know what he died from, but he was only 68.
Oh, my goodness. Please,
Oh
Farrah.
my God, oh my God. Verily thy servant, humble before the majesty of thy divine supremacy, lowly at the door of thy oneness, hath believed in thee and in thy verses, hath testified to thy word, hath been enkindled with the fire of thy love, hath been immersed in the depths of the ocean of thy knowledge, hath been attracted by thy breezes, hath relied upon thee, hath turned his face to thee, hath offered his supplications to thee, and hath been assured of thy pardon and forgiveness. He hath abandoned this mortal life, and hath flown to the kingdom of immortality, yearning for the favor of meeting thee. O Lord, glorify his station, shelter him under the pavilion of thy supreme mercy, cause him to enter thy glorious paradise, and perpetuate his existence in thine exalted rose garden, that he may plunge into the sea of light in the world of mysteries. Verily thou art the generous, the powerful, the forgiver, and the bestower. Abdul Baha.
Thank you, Farrah. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Well then, I will admit that the news of Kevin I mean, there are certain people that you just kind of, I mean, you don't want to hear about anyone passing, let's face it. But there are certain people that you're just kind of used to them being there, especially among American Baha'is. He's someone who, his face and his wonderful dancing performances, have been a part of so many different, all over the country.
Right.
And so, just to get that news is really, really, it's difficult. I'm going to move this just a little bit more. As always, moving on, we always like to point out that this is a joint community effort. And something else I think we need to do sometime, Daryl. Okay, we're talking about the advent of divine justice. We've been through, since we started this, we've been through several books from Abdu'l-Baha. We went through the Baha'u'llah's teachings on spiritual reality, all from Baha'u'llah, and other teachings that relate to that. And now we're doing something by Shoghi Effendi. There's something we have not done, and that is taking a moment out just to tell anyone, we always tell people, if you'd like to know more about the faith, where you can get that information.
Correct.
But I think it's also a good idea, because we've got a few minutes, just to briefly, and I do mean briefly, that's hard for me, but briefly list the basic precepts of the Baha'i faith. So many people that are Baha'is have come from other faith traditions. I don't think of myself as a former Christian. I still believe in Jesus, but it's a bit misleading to call myself Christian. So I say I'm Baha'i because there is a difference. We can't deny that. But becoming Baha'i doesn't mean, if you practiced any religion before, that you are leaving that your belief in that manifestation of God, as we call them. It doesn't mean that at all. It means that you are continuing that, and this is part of that continuation.
Well, sometimes becoming a Baha'i is a fulfillment
Yes.
of your belief.
Yes. Yes. And I was talking to a friend, as I told you earlier, I was talking to a friend, and he reminded me of that. He didn't say it, but it reminded me of that. And so I thought, since we've got, like I said we got a few minutes, but I keep running my mouth. We're not going to have those few minutes. But, why Baha'i? Well, sometimes it's because of the major teachings of the faith that some people find this religion and said, wow, that's what I believe in. These are the things, the major precepts of the Baha'i faith. Number one, the oneness of mankind, without any detail or comment, and I'm resisting that urge, the oneness of mankind. Number two, universal peace upheld by a world government. Universal peace upheld by a world government. Number three, independent investigation of the truth. Independent investigation of the truth. Number four, the common foundation of all religions. The common foundation of all religions. We all believe in the same God. We all believe in one humanity. We all believe that all of the world's religions are coming from one source, and that source is God. Number five, the essential harmony of science and religion. The essential harmony of science and religion. I'm resisting the urge, but the essential harmony of science and religion. Number six, the equality of men and women. The equality of men and women. Number seven, the elimination of prejudice of all kinds. The elimination of prejudice of all kinds. Number eight, universal compulsory education. Education, spiritual, that goal, a spiritual goal, it's pretty hard to create an onward moving civilization, even in the name of God, that people are not educated. I said I was not going to make a comment. I just made a comment. Number eight, a spiritual solution to economic problems. A spiritual solution to economic problems. And finally, so that we can all communicate, a universal auxiliary language. You might not think of these on the same level as commandments, but they come from a manifestation of God. And so we think of them on the same level of what most people would call commandments. Now, if you'd like more information about the faith,
There are sources, and those sources, if you care to go online, you can be found at www.baha'i.us, www.baha'i.org, or www.bahaiteachings.org, or if you happen to be in the Tampa Bay area and would like to know more, you can always go to the Clearwater Baha'i website, which is at www.clearwaterbaha'is.org.
yes. Again, please do continue to keep the people, not just in Florida, because all of, in other states of the East Coast, north of Florida, they're experiencing or have experienced a lot of devastation as well. So again, please keep them all in your prayers. And please pray for the family of Kevin Locke and
Absolutely.
for the transition of his soul through all the realms of God. And if you do nothing else,
If you do nothing else, the one thing that you can do to improve the conditions of your world and the world of everyone around you, you can always share the love. Believe me, it will make your life so much better.
O people of justice, be as brilliant as the light, and as splendid as the fire that blazed in the burning bush. The brightness of the fire of your love will no doubt fuse and unify the contending peoples and kindreds of the earth, whilst the fierceness of the flame of enmity and hatred cannot but result in strife and ruin. We beseech God that he may shield his creatures from the evil designs of his enemies. He verily hath power over all things. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Oh, oh. Watch over yourselves, for the evil one is lying in wait, ready to entrap you. Gird yourselves against his wicked devices, and led by the light of the name of the all-seeing God, make your escape from the darkness that surrounded you. Let your vision be world-embracing, rather than confined to your own self. These are the words of Baha'u'llah. Be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Oh, oh. Have a good week,
Take care,
folks.
friends.
Take care.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you so much, Farah. So good to hear your voice, as always. But it is. Take care, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. I saw two names of people watching I ain't never seen before. Who is them peoples?
You want to disconnect from the other
Hmm?
one? Leave the other one?
I guess so. I see. So sometimes Jeremiah cuts it. We finally finish on time, and he doesn't cut us short. Where is he? Okay. Well, Kilbert's leaving. Okay. Everybody's gone. Jeremiah must be